So, for those of you who don't know, that's me right there. My name's Spry. I am a performance manager here. And today, what Tom and I are going to be discussing with you is just following along the same lines as inventory optimization on the new side, but on the used car side, right? So you'll see a lot of similarities in the messages that we're sending, the recommendations for how to optimize that inventory, but obviously those two areas of business are distinctly different, right? So there are a few things that we can do differently to optimize our used car inventory. So we're going to talk about how to do so in 3 simple stages. But before we get on with our presentation, I want to kind of poll the audience here. What does inventory optimization mean? Theo, what does that mean to you?
Being more efficient.
Being more
efficient. The way the process is.
Okay.
Gives you the best chance of selling quick and high profits.
Great, I love it. Anyone else?
Turn versus profitability.
Turn versus profitability. I like it. All of those things are correct, right? Optimizing your inventory is putting it to work for you, right? And whatever that means could be different for Bob Kane, right? Could be different for the Patriot Group. So what we need to do is figure out what that means. And I'm gonna put this up here, and there are people that will fight me on this, but it's not about quantity or quality of vehicles, right? I can't tell you how many times we've had that conversation with clients that go, man, if I had more cars, I'd sell more cars. Anybody ever say that? Yeah, right? We can't always control it, especially in today's market, right? We can't always control that. What we can do is control how we present that car to the customer, how we price that car to the customer, and how we prepare that car to be ready for the customer, right? So those are all the things that we're talking about. And with performance, it's not about one thing. It's about how all of that works in synchrony. You can see here on my little dynamometer graphic, if I hit the right button, that there's how many different performance indexes do we have on that one little table to look at, right? You guys ever look at the VinQ dashboard? How many bits of data do you have on any screen that you're in VinQ at one time? Right? Okay, I'll try it's a lot. So what we're talking about today is the performance of your inventory, right? Not how fast you're going, not how quickly you stop, not how straight you drive, but when it calls for it, how does that inventory perform? 3 easy steps. We're going to talk about preparing. Your speed frontline, how quickly you get that from the point of acquisition through your shop and ready for consumer digestion. Pricing. We're going to use market-based pricing or the data to drive those pricing decisions and not our past traumas from losing $4 grand on F-150 that we paid too much for at auction and then the market got flooded. We're going to talk about maximizing conversion with better merchandising, using the information that we have to build value in those individual pieces of inventory and presenting them as such to your customer base. We're going to talk about both online and on-lot presentation so that we get the best return on that investment. So preparing your inventory, right? Here we're talking about speed to frontline. How quickly can we get that car from the point of acquisition to our consumers? We're going to talk about where to start, reconditioning efficiencies, how your appraisals and the processes you have in place contribute to such, and how to manage your process. And we're going to show you a few tools inside of VinQ that can help you do so. So, speed to frontline. The best performing stores are laser focused on improving their speed to frontline, right? The appraisal system, probably not where you want speed, right? You're going to miss things. You're going to pay too much. You're not going to offer enough money, and you're going to take off your customers, right? You're going to miss out on some vital conversations and potential growth. So here, what we're going to talk about is how we can get that from from the point of acquisition to retail readiness in a streamlined, effective manner. So, not only is it crucial that there be a process or a known strategy that you're trying to achieve, but everybody needs to be involved, right? It can't just be the used car manager and your shop manager, right? You need to get your photo takers involved. You need to get your sales folks involved. And if you guys have ever followed any of our social media presence, our Vice President, Jamie Longwell, has a blurb that he puts out, a little blog that he puts out from time to time called Little Things, Big Impact. And he'll tell you that it's dire important that everybody be involved for two reasons. One, investment, right? The more people that are invested in that process, the more value there is in that vehicle that comes through that process, and the quicker that it gets through that process, then you can get to your customer. If you don't involve your sales folks, how do you know if a customer is looking for that particular vehicle, right? If Zach doesn't know that, or if you don't know that Zach just talked to a customer that's looking for a Ford Ranger you just took on trade, how that might sit in the back lot for 10 days before it goes through your shop, right? Also, having that process of knowing what vehicles make it through your shop first, instead of letting the tail wag the dog, so to speak, having that process to get your vehicles through in the appropriate manner, ultra important. So where do we start? Great place to start, NQ dashboard and checklist, right? That lets us know exactly where we stand. Here we can see that we have 54 cars, not frontline ready. Of those 54, we're averaging about 9 days of age, almost 10 days, right? So if we're targeting 3 to 5 days, we're off pace. If you don't know where you stand, there's no way to measure where you're going to get to. Utilizing the processes and the tools inside the system will help you get to where you're going, right? So standardized reconditioning workflows, predefined recon steps, utilizing your inspection checklist will all help shave that time, right? Not only does that save overproduction from having too many things on that list to go through the shop that you have to approve or decline, but it also predefines what needs to happen on that car so your shop can make it through there super fast, right? Or much faster. Doing so also allows you the ability to put notes in the system, right? Again, if your sales consultant or during your appraisal process, if they're doing a walk around with the customer and having that conversation, like hopefully they all are, then the customer divulges, oh yeah, I just had that 60,000 mile tune-up done where they went through the rear differential and checked my four-wheel drive system and did the full service on my differentials and my transaxles. That's going to save you some time and money in your shop, right, in that recon process. If those notes aren't in there, you may be overproducing that car, and there's another $1,200 that you just put in recon that didn't need to be. Likewise, you can itemize your recon versus generalizing it, right? This is something that has become more and more keen in our business models. So, having those predefined values in the system lets you know exactly what those recon items are going to cost you. It builds a list that you can apply for 3 different scenarios, and it stops you from overproducing that car, plain and simple, right? Helps with trackability, reporting of those recon items, and what's factored into each and every vehicle that comes into your inventory. We have some integrations with partners like Ewart, right? Rapid Recon, Recon Velocity, etc. If you don't have the budget, if you don't have the vision to be a part of those integrations, then you can even utilize our system to manage that process for you. So, how many times, let me run this scenario. How many times have you had a sublet vendor come into your office and go, hey, where are the keys for this Ford Ranger, the F-150 that ends in 484, and that box truck? Yeah. Are those the ones that you want him running through the shop first? How do you control that?
Well, we currently have a system where we've got administrative assistant who handles all the used car inventory, and she deals with that directly. And they have a really good relationship one-on-one. She doesn't put up with any guys coming in and asking for keys.
That's awesome. That's great. Anybody else ever have that scenario where somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm here to work on this car, this car, and this car, and you don't know if out of the 16 cars that are waiting to go through your shop, if those are the 4 that you want going through your shop? Never happened to anybody? Right. So in VinQ, you don't even have to wait for that car to come in inventory. You set them up as a vendor under our task management inside VinQ. You set them up with phone number, email address as a vendor. From that point forward, even if they've never heard the name VinQ before, if they're not a user of VinQ, you can assign a work request to them, and it will send them a link to their cell phone. All they have to do is answer the buzz when it goes off and go, oh man, there's Bob King one. Oh hey, he's got the F-150 that he needs keys for. Hey, okay, yeah, it's $400. I'll be there Tuesday. Guess what? You don't even have that car processed yet. You're already building workflow. That's awesome. We also have integrations with other companies such as UBI. We have a couple users in this room, right? UBI, again, allows you to standardize that workflow, drive the car through the machine, it finds what it finds. I have fat fingers, I'm so sorry. And it integrates with our inspection report, puts those into a workflow for you to approve, ignore, or disapprove. Captures the photos for you. You have those in there for posterity and reference. So again, not only do those integrations save you time and money from overproduction, but it improves accountability because it's all listed right there from that machine. So, rapid recon. Viewer came up, gave you a great presentation on what it can do for you, how it can provide money. Our rapid recon integration can do the same thing, right? Not only can you view and manage your work step history, you can improve communication amongst your team with notes. You can see exactly what it's going to take to go through your shop. You can, at a glance, see where your inventory lies for tracking purposes, right? Here we can see we have 11 total recon steps, 4 of those are complete. So as you're managing a page full of 350 vehicles on one place, you can see where every one of them lies. You can even get in and change the information, the dollar amounts and time associated with one of those and those 2 systems. Talk back and forth. Within about 2 minutes, 2 hours within about 2 hours of you changing it in VinQ, it's going to be in rapid recon. Whenever you change something in rapid recon, within about 10 seconds, it's going to be in VinQ. You can add additional pictures, right? So anything not caught during your evaluation process, you can add to it as your mechanics are working through it. You can see the entire step history of that vehicle all in one system. Integrations like Intel, right? So it's an OBD2 scanning device. Plug it in, scans the car, tells you what codes have been active in the past, what have been deleted, what's active now. Not only does it tell you what systems those codes pertain to, but it will also recommend a labor amount and cost associated with those repairs. Again, all in one system. All of this, while you're doing your evaluation of the car, sets up your shop and your recon process, tees it up, lets them hit that home run. Tom's gonna walk you through some pricing.
Thank you, sir. My name is Tom Sabo. I'm a senior performance manager here at BenQ. Before I get started, Ewart was trying to give away a little bit of money when he was up here a little bit ago. And we're going to try to finish that up real quick before I get going. So, Jason played a clip of a movie in, what was the name of that movie?
Something.
Right there. That was quick. When we talk about pricing, we're talking about not a race to the bottom, not anything like that. We're talking about a race to the customer, right? So what we're going to do is talk about some market-based pricing, using price to market, not to cost. We're going to use price to market versus value to market, setting some pricing targets. We're going to look at our next gen report called the Sweet Spot report, and then we're going to finish up after that with him. So real quick, this is our inventory look by bucket, right? So this is a report in here that we have. And doing here as now go to age policy. People use it in 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. Before we didn't have to do that. So we can set this up depending on how you want to do that. But as you can see in the buckets over there to the right, we're looking at percent to market in each bucket relative to what the market is. So how do we own these cars? Where are we priced at? And we can look at percent to market on that top one, 0 to 20 is at 102. The price to market plus is at 101. And then as that vehicle ages, are we walking those prices down, right? So in my opinion, this looks like a pretty effective pricing strategy. I would encourage you all to go in, pull this report if you don't know how to get with your performance manager, but make sure that you are walking that price down. You can see where he ends up in that 120 bucket plus at 94%. I think that's probably trying to recoup some of those costs right there. So we have our competitive strategy right on your dashboard. This is a really good spot to look at to see how you're priced against the market by using either your price to market plus, what your cost to market is, and your cost to market plus as well. So having everybody on board looking at this and knowing where you're at in the market is a really good indication to get everybody on the same page, following that same pricing strategy. And then we've talked about signals here lately. The market shift since the last price change is a huge signal to everybody in the store, right? So what that's going to tell you is what's been happening in the market since I did that price change. If you look at that 22 Explorer that's on there, it's about the 5th one down. We can look at we're priced at 27 and some change. The arrow pointing down with the 14 is telling you that there's been 14 vehicles that came into your comp set cheaper than where you're priced at. If you go to the right, there's 3 of them that are priced higher. That's signaling to me, what are we doing? Let's dig back into that car. Let's see if we're leaving any money out on the table, or whether we can price the car up, whether we need to reduce it. And it also tells you how many cars left the comp set cheaper and how many left more expensive. So big indication to the whole team, big signal that you know where you're at on those particular vehicles. So we got price to market and value to market. So when you're looking at price to market plus, which is in the top right-hand corner there, the customer perception, it's going to give you the true authentic value of what the car really is. Because we're bringing in not only the price, but the color, the mileage, the options, and the history of that vehicle. So when we're looking at how, what's the day supply on it, which we're always looking at, average day supply for that trim, and then it also couples that with how your store does. So if I'm looking at, hey, the market's 53 days on average days to sale, and I'm at 30 days, that might be an opportunity signaling to me, we sell these cars faster than what the market does. Where do I need to go with my price? Pricing targets. Anybody use some pricing targets in here? You know, a couple of my dealers back there do as well. I think this is really big to get the whole team together, align on a pricing strategy based off of targets. I'm not saying we have to be at, you know, whatever the numbers are on here, but at least if we have the buy-in from everybody on the team, we can know where all of our inventory is on day one, and then how that car exits out, whatever that age policy might be.
And if everybody's using these pricing targets, right, if you have multiple people at your store pricing inventory, not only does it tell you where everybody should be rowing the boat, so to speak, but on your dashboard, it's gonna tell you, as everybody these days likes to have an easy button to hit, it's gonna automate the audit process for you, right? So it'll tell you on each piece of inventory where you are in relation to the price to market, but also in relation to your target as well. So if you're off target, if that vehicle is off target that you have set, everybody's gonna see it, right? So then you can have that conversation.
Yeah, there'll be another one of those signals on your inventory page. You can sort it by however you want to look at it that way. Here is our sweet spot report. This is one of those next gen reports that you saw earlier in the bigger room. I wanted to point this out because it shows you where you're transacting at, what percentage of your inventory you're transacting at in each bucket, right? So if we're at the 0 to 15 and the 16 to 30, ideally you want to transact 50% of your inventory in those first 30 days, right? We all know that the earlier you sell that car in the life cycle, the more money you're gonna make. So this allows you to see active inventory, sold inventory. And what you're really looking at here is, you know, this isn't really, we don't want to replicate this, but we want to use this to define what our true strategy really is. There you go.
So now we come to the easy part, right? Presenting the inventory. I say easy because we have all the information that we need to sell this car, right? We know what it looks like. We know the recon dollars. We know our pricing position. How do we convey that to our customer base? Well, one of the best ways we can do that is by our photos, right? Just as Robo and Jason alluded to earlier, like that's the first line of defense you have with your customers. That's the first impression that you make with that customer. So here you can see a couple of examples of background removal that we use. On the left there is the original photo. On the right, we have a AI background removal tool that you can apply to that car, making it look more professional and polished. Takes out all of the attention away from these cars in the background, leaves the focus on the car you're trying to sell. You can still apply banners and comments to those vehicles with or the backgrounds that are removed. And we have different options that you can choose from. And doing the background removal through AI, a heck of a lot cheaper than building the photo booth. I don't know if any of you all have ever built a photo booth in your store, but they're pretty pricey. We can even do custom backgrounds, right? This is, custom backgrounds can be utilized twofold, right? Not only to promote, you know, a professional polished image, but can also help you build your brand, right? Which is all what we're trying to do while selling cars, right? This can also help your smaller independent, non-franchise backed stores compete with some of the big boys, right? If you're looking at a Car Guru or an Auto Trader and you're searching for an F-150, how many F-150s are you gonna find if you search F-150 within 100 miles, right? How do you stand out in that sea of comparable vehicles? That's a great start. Not only can you build your brand, you can also build the equities that your brand offers, right? Here we have Almost Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. That's dealership equity. Maybe that's something that you offer, nobody else in your market does. We can talk about custom or promotional incentives, right? Anything that we can do to capture that consumer's attention. Maybe somebody's looking for a payment that's under $500 if you advertise $499 payment options, right? We can also use QR codes, right? QR codes are great. It's a great way to save money, great way to save time, get the information out to the folks that are looking for that vehicle. On the left, we have an actual window sticker that instead of price, says scan for price. Scan the QR code, right? Takes them to the VDP, shows them everything there is to know about that vehicle. By the way, here are some things that we offer as a dealership because you're on my website, right? Double win. QR codes are a great way to save money because they're cheap and easy to make, right? You don't have to print them. You can make them on any website, pretty much, and then you don't have to print out a window sticker every time you change the price. Save time, save process. You can even use QR codes in your service drive or your buying center to help promote your brand as not just a place to buy a car, but to sell one as well. Or if you're interested in trading, this is a car that, maybe you have $2,000 repairs in your service drive. This is a great way that you can offload that. We can fix that car cheaper than what it would cost you. Love to have this car in inventory and put you in something new. Addendums. Addendums go hand in hand with QR codes. So it's a great way to build transparency in your pricing strategy to your customer base. Allows you to be more accurate in the value of the vehicle. So here we can see the manufacturer's price. Here's everything that we added. Again, just like Jason was talking about with the commercial products, you can do this on any used vehicle. And it doesn't have to be a major add. It could be all-weather mats. It can be mud flaps. It could be a lift and tires. Who knows? But doing so will help you build transparency, and you can even build a bank or a library of these items in VinQ so that you don't have to type it out each time. You just go in there, click, click, click. So, what's the goal here, right? Return on investment. We want to get those cars out faster to our customers. We want to make sure that we're capitalizing on every inch of that or value of that vehicle that it has to offer, so we can find that connecting point for somebody looking for it, right? In today's market, making your inventory work efficiently is key to long-term success, period. When processes from sourcing and reconditioning to pricing and reporting are utilized, your inventory no longer becomes something for you to manage. It becomes an asset to drive growth. If you guys have any questions on any of this, please feel free to come up and stop us afterwards. I again recommend touching base with your performance managers to help maximize your potential and return. And I think now we're going to have a word from Royce. Is that right?
He's after Moody.
Okay.
Oh, Moody's going next. So I'm sorry. So now you're going to hear from Moody.
Oh, thanks. So our next presenter is Moody.